So the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie is underway. I never thought I needed Idris Elba's Knuckles in my life until the trailer came out. And while I'm excited to watch it and talk about it, this is the first Sonic movie I need to talk about. Yeah, you all know the one. The movie that got ratioed into remaking the design of Sonic entirely. It's honestly astonishing how Paramount listened to their fans and made such a drastic change to a movie. And while I did appreciate the redesign, I wasn't entirely convinced that the movie was going to be a great movie. I just expected it to be fun, because, you know, it's a Sonic movie. Sonic at its core is just an overall fun experience that can tell a somewhat deep storyline that sometimes works, but most of the time falls flat.
I'm not weak. Boo! You stink!
We're up to a VFX company, however, that redesigned Sonic that later got shut down due to financial reasons by the NPC. It was shocking to see the studio getting shut down after doing such an amazing job, not just for Sonic's redesign, but also other great movies like Blade Runner and Guardians of the Motherfucking Galaxy. What kind of cool place is this? Despite the total aftermath of the movie, the film turned out to be a huge success, leaving everyone in the theaters completely satisfied. Welcome to Leaves the Cabbage, where I make videos on films I generally adore but don't have too much to say about the film itself. I'm Favorite Cabbage Boy, and let's get into the video. There's really not a whole lot to say about the Sonic movie, because there's not too much the movie really tells you when it comes to overall message. I guess the best way to describe the theme of the film is that you need to face your problems head on, and that you'll always find to friendship, ? I know, it's a huge stretch, and not exactly the most compelling or intriguing message, but welcome here, the Dead Mind Sonic fans. But I think the simplicity behind the movie's themes and storyline fits perfectly for Sonic. I've always been a fan for Sonic for the longest time. I've pretty much played every streamlined game, except Sonic Forces, but I heard that game was more of a waste of time than Sonic 06. So you can say I'm something of a Sonic fan myself. So I think that the main theme of Sonic throughout its entire existence is the value of friendship and the importance of self-worth. Despite the basic premise of what Sonic as a whole tries to tell you, it's encapsulated perfectly in this film. And as Sonic himself, I didn't expect to like him as a character as much as I did. They did something vastly different to the Sonic everyone knows today, while still having those different traits of his character that fit the core of Sonic as a whole. I think seeing Sonic alone and by himself in the form of a film works perfectly because it gives us more of an insight into what kind of person Sonic was before he had friends. This was Sonic before Tails. This was the film's version of Sonic 1. The first 30 minutes of the film was probably the best part of the movie because it told such a grounded and interesting story that handled the trope of the main character being alone a lot better than expected. Seeing Sonic clinically insane as he only has himself to talk to and to entertain himself with is probably the best use of Sonic's powers. Seeing him play ping pong to having therapy sessions with himself fits the character perfectly. And it doesn't take itself too seriously because this is Sonic avoiding his internal pain by playing with himself, by entertaining himself with ping pong and baseball. He tries to have fun because it's a way of coping through his loneliness. The baseball scene perfectly exemplifies this as he tries to have fun with himself, only to later remember that there's nobody around but himself, and then doing the only thing he's done his whole life.
I really am alone. All alone. Forever.
He runs. Sonic's character is surprisingly deep, but it's not too grim or dark with the internal struggles of the character. The movie takes all time to establish Sonic's pain, and then later on only to making light of the subject and tries to have fun with the character because he's actually interacting with someone other than himself. James Marsden did a great job with Tom in this movie. This is one of the only times a human interacting with an anthropomorphic character actually works because of how well they play off each other. That and Tom feels like a real person, unlike that name we don't talk about.
Great. Now I'm thundering.
Tom has his own distinct personality, his own goals that feel realistic. Of course he wants to do more as a police officer. He lives in a town where officers are used for menial tasks.
It's a perfect town and the people need you. Please, I clean out their gutters, I jumpstart their cars in the winter. They could call anybody to do that.
But his goals are slowly fulfilled throughout the film with his interaction with Sonic as he instinctively tries to save Sonic after their first encounter. Because all he ever wanted to do is to prove that he was worth his title as an officer, and he feels accomplished by the end because he ended up saving Sonic along with the people he's learned and loved to protect.
It's time for this guy to get out there and prove himself. I love Green Hills, but, you know, I want to help people in real trouble. I want someone to turn to me in a life and death situation, and I'll be there for them.
The dynamic between Sonic and Tom is just wholesome that works for both their characters and their growth. But I understand why people are tired of this style of adventure films because of we don't talk about chipmunks. Jim Carrey was absolute right as Dr. Eggman. I love how the government introduced him as someone completely bonkers, but the only person smart enough to figure out the anomaly behind the blackout.
Has a perfect operations record. Remember the coup in Pakistan? No. Or the uprising in Azerbaijanistan? It's not even a country. Exactly. And you can thank Robotnik for that.
Only to later just see exactly how bonkers he is when he finally shows up. I may enjoy the writing behind Sonic and Tom, but Eggman makes the movie all the more fun and a blast to watch.
Have you
finished Charlotte's Web yet? Spoiler alert, she dies in the end, but she leaves a big creepy egg sack. Ooh, look what came out of my egg sack.
And please keep the sexual tension between him and Stone in the second movie because we clearly didn't get enough of that. It makes way too much sense that Eggman hired a human just to make himself look smarter as he showed off how talented he is. If I had to make one major complaint about the movie, it would be that there wasn't enough one-on-one interaction with him and Sonic. They played off each other really nicely from their first interaction on the roof. At least we pretty much know that we're getting more of Eggman and Sonic in the second movie. On the trailer of the second movie, there's already so much that improved from the first movie, and one of the things is that it feels more like a Sonic movie. Not to say that this movie doesn't have a bunch of references to the games, but as a whole it doesn't feel like a full-on video game adaptation movie. Like the more noticeable references to the games is the Green Hills theme at the end and rings teleporting to different dimensions, which we can all see is a very real thing in the games and not at all created by Paramount. I would have appreciated more if the score had more Sonic related themes. Imagine if some of Eggman's appearances were accompanied by "I am the Eggman," but just a different rendition. Now that would have been cinema. Other than the obvious good things about the movie, I liked all the human characters in the movie that I probably should have. They were all pretty entertaining and funny to watch, from Maddie to Lovell Wade to the conspiracy theorist Crazy Carl. Speaking of funny, the movie was more or less very funny.
Now all I gotta do is tell everyone who isn't a donut.
I only didn't laugh at maybe one or two jokes, but a lot of jokes outside Jim Carrey obviously still cracked me up while we watched it.
I'm calling the CIA. I'm calling someone. I'm calling your mother.
Mother!
The movie obviously has problems with how basic the story is and how it's not that thought-provoking when it comes to its themes, but I feel like in the eyes of a Sonic movie, it did its job at encapsulating Sonic's character and the energy of Sonic from the games perfectly. From an overall film standpoint, however, this is obviously a negative aspect with how predictable and cliche everything is, and some of the parts of the film I definitely checked out on, especially when they put commercials in their movies. The themes of family was already obvious enough, we don't need Olive Garden, but personally I think the simplicity behind it all doesn't bother me because it's not too much in your face about it, and I think it could have been done worse. It could have been well placed on the internet. Overall, the Sonic movie is a fun experience that will cleanse your palate from steaming power with the recent games are giving you. As an overall film, I'd probably be a 6 out of 10, but as a Sonic movie, I'm giving the Sonic movie an 8 out of 10. Please don't make it me mad Knuckles in the sequel. Also, one thing I noticed probably watching is that the tribe that tried hunting down Sonic at the beginning of the movie were echidnas, and Knuckles in the second movie. So either they have some nice interaction with Sonic and Knuckles about it, or Paramount can have to forgive me, stick and forgot about it. Realistically, it's probably the latter. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been wanting to talk about the movie for a while, and while there isn't too much to say about it, I feel like there's some great aspects of the movie that have been more or less overlooked. Anyways, that's all I have for this segment. If you did enjoy, be sure to like the video and share your thoughts on the film, or my critique of it. You can even suggest what movie I talk about next. Be sure to subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you always know when future content releases. It helps out the channel a lot, it's free, you can always subscribe later. I'm Favorite Cowboy, signing off.